Shmaya a few minutes a day. So first we have to know how incredible this sefer is. Moshe Chaim Lutzato, one of the greatest Kabbalists we had, he wrote a sefer Musar. Really, all these words are based on very deep Kabbalistic concepts. He waters it down and he gives you just the very practical side. But really, what he's giving you advice is advice based on very, very deep mystical ideas. And we have to know that it works. It works. It's a very, very good formula how to climb the ladder of holiness in life. So they quote over here, this is from the words of Matatiyahu Solomon, who was the Mashgiach for the Lakewood Yeshiva. So he brings over here from the Mezundo Salant. He asked Rav Chaim Volozhin which Sefer Musar you should learn. So he told him all the Sefer Musars are good. He says, however, Mesilat Yesharim, that should be your inheritance. That should be your go-to. It was known that the Gaon of Vilna famously said, I reviewed all of Mesilat Yesharim, and there's not one extra word in Mesilat Yesharim. Every single word is perfect and exactly how it's supposed to be said. The author is a great Gaon. And the Gaon of Vilna said if the Ramchal would be living in his lifetime, he would have walked 50 mil to go and a tremendous amount of kilometers to go and meet him and to learn from him, even to hear a little bit of Musar from him. So therefore, if the Gaon of Vilna is saying this, obviously, we have to go and study his words. So what are his words? Basically, the most famous part, one of the most famous parts of Mesilat Yesharim is how he starts off, and he says that what I'm going to tell you is something that everybody already knows. And he says that the problem is that just because people know something doesn't mean that they do it. Doesn't mean that they'll change them. He says a person needs constant reminders. A person has to know, I did not write this book to teach something people didn't know. Rather, I want to remind them what they already know. In most of my words, you'll hear Mesilat Yesharim, you'll say, it's not such a big hidush. Okay, I think I know that already. But he says, no. He says the things that are the easiest, the smart people usually overlook. People want to hear I want to hear hidush. I want to hear something outlandish. I want to hear something, whoa, chaval azman. And therefore, he ends up doing what? You can have a very religious guy. He has the payas, and he learns the daf yomi, and he basics. He doesn't know. He doesn't. Olam haba, he doesn't think about so much every day. Basic derech eretz, he doesn't think about so much every day. Why? Because the simple things that are the most important, people forget because they don't think they have to spend time on it. They don't think they need reminders. And I am here to come tell you, there's very little new information in this book. But the advantage is repeating and reading it, and you will become slowly part of you. That's why the Balei Musar, the real Yeshivat Musar was, you read a few lines a day of Musar. A few lines a day. You say a person needs to remember Olam Haba, and read it again. A person needs to remember Olam Haba. Like this, they would read it again and again with itpayalut, with a tremendous awakening and yearning to understand this, and it's like you're brainwashing yourself, like you're internalizing it more and more. That way, you wake him up in the middle of the night, he'll be able to tell you, your person has to remember there's Olam Haba. It becomes part of you, not just, okay, I finished, let's go next. You have to review it and internalize it. So, a lot of times our mind can tell us what to do, or Tversky writes, Rabbi Tversky writes that a person a lot of times can do denial. Can be in denial, or this thing called cognitive dissonance. What's cognitive dissonance? Where a person says, I don't want to know. I know you're right, but I don't want to. I want to stay in my denial and keep going with the life I want, right? As Yehuda said many times, quoting from Shulchan Hirsch, many other sages say, person who wants a question, there is no answer. A person who wants an answer, there's many answers. It's all about if you want. So therefore, constantly reminding yourself and reading and reminding the Musar, a person will be able to break that denial, break the cognitive dissonance, and be able to finally admit and say, you know what? It's a met. I have to do this. It's true. I have to change. That's it. Enough is enough already. But if you only learn one time, you hear it here and there, you move on and you just throw it to the wayside and you continue learning these great chidushim that you think you have to do. The Ramchal's idea is very well explained by the story of Rabbi Kiva. What was the story of Rabbi Kiva? He saw the rock and it was dripping. It wasn't one big drop, one big chidush that changed his life. It's the fact that it's every day, another drop. Because of the repetition, every drop, that's why it changed. A big problem, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Rabbi Ditchev says, a big problem that a lot of people experience is they think that they are invincible. I'm perfect, Rabbi. I don't need to change anything. Why do I need to change? Why are you telling me all this musar? What do I need to do? I don't need to change. He says a part of the human being is that he doesn't think he has defects, and therefore he doesn't have to change. Everybody has something. Everybody has something to fix. You want to know what's the best way to know what you need to fix? If you want to know what's wrong with you, who's the best person to ask? Your wife. Your wife is the best person to ask what you need to work on, what you need to fix. So therefore he says the person has to know that no one's perfect, and therefore we all have to learn musar, and we all have to go and repeat these things to ourselves constantly. He says, and if you pay attention to the world, you'll see a majority of intelligent people, they want to go learn the sciences, they want to learn into deep chidushim, Kabbalistic ideas. He says, however, to learning the simple ideas that are basics of being a Jew, he says they don't study it, they don't pretend, they don't put time to it, and therefore they could be actually not close to Hashem or not fear God. Actually, ended up being that they tried to gain by studying all these complicated things and basics they don't have. So therefore, he says, therefore what? I made this book in order that a person should know to review it, to get the basics, and that way the Gemara says that the Torah is a double-edged sword. What's the double-edged sword? If you have zechut, the Gemara says it becomes a powerful force for good. But if you don't have zechut, then the Torah becomes a destructive force for you, right? Because if you learn Torah and you don't have midot, so the Torah actually teaches you how to be smart, and you become a smarter bad person. And if you have zechut, if you're a good-hearted person and you want to work on yourself, so when you learn Torah, you become a better person. But if you don't know the basics and you're learning a lot of Torah, you're becoming a worse person. It actually was better that you didn't learn, because now you become a smart, evil person. Like Doeg Adomi, Korach, and many of these people in the Torah we see, they learned Torah, but they became more and more evil. How could it be that? Oh, because they did not work on the basics, they did not work on their midot, and therefore 15 minutes a day. Right? There's a famous story with the Salanter. They asked him, Rabbi, I only have 15 minutes a day. What should I learn? Halakha, Gemara, Musar. And he says, learn Musar, 15 minutes a day, and you'll see you have 3 hours a day to learn. You'll find it. You'll see you have time. It's because once you learn Musar, it wakes you up, and you have the basics constantly in front of your heart and in the front of your brain, not in the back of your brain. So then you're able to see, hey, I need to work on this. Hey, I really do have time. I should stop wasting my time over here, stop wasting my time over there. Ends up, he finds out that he has 3 hours a day to learn. So therefore, a person has to know, make sure you have the basics before you jump into, some people told me this, Rabbi, I see, certain people, that they're doing very holy things, very, very lofty things, high level, they're machmir for this, machmir for that, machmir for this, and basics they don't have. They're doing all these extra, chassidut style, or extra stringency style mitzvot, and being a Ben Adam and doing basics of Judaism they don't do. How could it be? Says the Mesilat Yesharim, because you're not studying Musar and you're not remembering the basics that we're going to study in this Sefer.